All right, I want to welcome everyone to today's webinar. Thanks for taking time out of your day to be with us. Dave Zook's going to talk about the car wash business, wash, rinse, profit, and repeat. Just a quick disclaimer here. Camaplan does not endorse, give any tax, legal, or investment advice. Please consult with your accountants, attorneys, and other professionals before making any investments. This is my contact information for anybody who needs more information on how to do these investments with your IRA. Fisher's with a C, R, Fisher, Fischer at camaplan.com. You can also reach us on our toll-free number, 866-559-4430. So a little bit about Dave. He'll tell you about himself here. I'm going to go ahead and turn the screen over to you, Dave. Welcome, Dave, and Trevor and Michael.
All right, let's see. Here we go.
And I also want to remind everybody that there is a question and answers box or a chat box. You can put them in either, and we'll answer any questions that you have. We plan on running about 45-ish minutes today.
All right. Sorry, Ryan. I thought you had me up there, so I'm just pulling it up here. Give me just a minute.
Not a problem. It's in your email too.
All right, let's do this. Ryan, can you pull the email up on screen? It did not sync back to my computer. I apologize.
It's if you have your email, you can just pull it up from where you emailed me.
All right.
And then that way you'll be able to click the slides. I can go get it. I just need to email it to myself.
All right, let's do this. I'll get it like this. There we go. All right, cool. All right.
You'll have to share that again.
Yep, going back to share. All right. Share screen. There we go.
All right.
All right. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. So thank you, Ryan. Thanks to Camaplan. Thanks for making this happen. This is an honor to present to your group, and I appreciate you guys. I know we have quite a few clients over in the Camaplan network, and I appreciate the partnership. Thanks to everyone for joining us here today. This is going to be fun. And thanks to Trevor and Mike for jumping on and sharing their wisdom with us in the car wash space. So the purpose of the webinar is to, number one, introduce you to the team. Number two, talk to you about an asset class that we're super excited about. We're going to tell you why we're excited about it. And then number three is kind of show you the details, what's going on behind the scenes, some of the things that you may know or may not know about the car wash industry and why this is an industry that has a lot of potential and a lot of upside. And then last but not least, show you how you can get involved and how you can make money, how you can make a good return on your investment. So a little bit of a disclaimer sheet. I know you had one of your own, Ryan, but here's one of ours, basically just saying we're gonna make some statements here that you should always get the advice from your CPAs and attorneys before you make an investment. But just a little disclaimer here on our side. And then, so many of you know that I'm invested in several different asset classes. And some of you may be wondering, well, why car wash? And so one of the things that's really exciting for us is when we can get an asset class, get into an asset class that fills a couple, that checks a couple boxes. One is cash flow. Another one could be value creation, taking a piece of dirt and, creating maybe its highest and best use for that piece of dirt. And then in the car wash space specifically, we're going to go over some of these details. We're going to talk about why this industry is ripe for investment. It's a fragmented industry, and we've seen this in several different asset classes. We've seen this in the self-storage space. We see it now again in the car wash space, where you have a whole bunch of small mom and pop owners with a couple car washes, maybe one car wash or a couple car washes, and how the industry is ripe for kind of consolidation, some consolidation. And then you're really, by going in there and creating that value, you're building an asset that adds a lot of value to the community, but you're really forcing the appreciation into that piece of property. So those are some of the things that's got us excited about the car wash space. So I wanted to first, we got two of our three operations partners on the line here, and I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about them, their background. In fact, why don't you, Trevor, give us a 30 to 60 second overview of who you are and what you're about, and then Michael, if you could do the same thing, I'd appreciate it. You guys take it away.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate that. Sorry for the camera. I'm having some camera issues and getting ready for a city council meeting today to create more value. But yeah, my background's in strategy and finance. I've worked at JP Morgan as well as the Boston Consulting Group. And that's kind of my passion, is understanding the best way we can allocate your funds and extracting the most value possible from this asset class. And my educational background is also in the same. So I'm a finance undergrad major, and then have graduate degrees from MIT and from Harvard, where I met Mike.
Michael, it's all yours. Tell us about
thanks,
Michael.
Trevor. Trevor's about to present to a city council meeting, which is an absolutely incredible site, which I'm sure we can cover more. But a little bit of myself. Started with the Naval Academy undergrad. Was actually a fighter pilot in the Navy for around 7 years. So if any of you guys have seen Top Gun recently, you're my friends. But left that and worked at Apple for 4 years. I did 3 years in their supply chain, managing the global operations of iPhone cameras, a lot of time overseas, and then spent over a year in marketing, really on working on the iPhone and how to position that best in the market. So left Apple, went to Harvard Business School for 2 years. There we met Trevor, learned about the car wash industry, and have fallen in love with it, and really found an incredible opportunity here to partner with Tommy's and Trevor and Alex, our third partner, and now Dave, to really grow something special.
Yeah, and just on that, Dave, Alex is our third partner. He's the CEO of Tommy's Express. As you can tell, with some of these creative logos on here, we share in common. So I was at JP Morgan with Alex, and he had been pushing on us for a long time to take a serious look at the space, and that's kind of what got us in. And so his experience has been invaluable, helping us get in and helping us continue to create value.
Great. All right, and I just froze up. Not sure what happened there, Ryan. Oh, there we go. Cool. A little bit about me. We, at the Real Asset Investor, I'm founder and CEO. We put investment packages together. We've done several different asset classes, from multifamily to self-storage to ATMs. We're one of the top 5 ATM operators in the country, to now Tommy's Car Washes. And I'm excited to I'm excited about the asset class, but I'm also really excited about the team. I just think when you start with an asset class that is a really good product, if you start with a really good product, it doesn't matter if it's a car wash or if it's a steak. If you want a good dinner and you start with a prime fillet you know, you can go with a cheap one or you can go with a prime. And if you start with a good product, it's pretty hard to screw that up. But if you put that steak in the right location and you have a good operator, your chances of success of having a really good dinner is you know, just increases by a lot. And I feel the same way about a car wash or a self-storage facility or other asset class. You start with a great product and then you overlay it with a great team. That's when you can have a lot better chance of success. And I'm really excited about this team. My partner, Bill Poole, he's got a banking and finance career, very successful in the entrepreneur business space. My COO, Jack Barry, he is the COO of the Real Asset Investor, and he's kind of running the team there, and Brett is working alongside of him. So most likely, if you're interested in this asset class and you reach out to us, you'll be talking to one of those guys. So very excited about the team, very excited about this asset class. So kind of looking over the financial highlights, and I'm going to go through these slides very quickly. I'm hoping to get this done for you guys and have you guys in and out in 45 minutes. So we're going to be pretty quick and efficient here. So Trevor or Michael, whoever wants to take this slide and talk about our locations and maybe why those locations, and then also about the financial highlights and what it looks like to get one of these out of the ground and kind of the numbers behind the numbers.
Yeah, I'll take the first one, Mike. You take the second. So on a location basis, it's kind of two things. It's one, identifying the right geography, and then two, identifying the right site. From a geographic basis, we wanted to go to areas, you know, because this is real estate, we wanted to go to the markets that have some of the hottest, most efficient, and, you know, well-protected real estate in the country. So our core of investments is in the DC area, the Philadelphia region, and then parts of the fastest growing areas of Texas as well. And so what we try to do is diversify all of your investments across these geographies. On a site level, our goal is if you knew nothing about the car wash space and we showed you a coming soon sign and we just gave you the address, you'd pull that up and you'd say, wow, I know nothing about the city, but that has to be an amazing place to put a car wash. And that's what we try to do. We look for, you know, places where people go every single day. So we have one opening up again here at the end of the year. And, you know, it's between 3 gyms. It's between a Chick-fil-A and 3 other grocery stores right in the heart of the main, you know, commercial corridor of the city that we're in Virginia. And that's what we try to do on an individual site level basis. And Mike, if you want to talk about the financial highlights.
Yeah, sure. So one of the great things that about car wash is, you know, they are, again, real estate based. They are extremely high margin, as you know, it's 40-50% EBITDA margins. And another great thing is they tend to be very sticky with customers. So we've really morphed into the model where we sign up memberships. And so we'll get 65-70% of our revenue from memberships, people who pay, you know, call it $30 a month, and you can come as much as you want. And that's great for a lot of different ways because it's predictable, it's not dependent on the weather, and it just provides that steady flow of cash. And so, you know, overall, a great business. The upfront cost, as we highlighted here, is around $6-7 million to put one of these up. And that kind of includes the land and all the building. We actually, you know, with Tommy's, we invest about $1 million more per Tommy's location than the next best car wash, but it allows us to do about twice as much revenue per location as the next best car wash. So we show 2.2 million here. Frankly, that's a bit conservative. The latest numbers that Tommy's is putting out on their average mature sites is closer to 3 million, but you know, if it's a great investment at 2.2, it's an even better investment at 3. So we'd rather under promise and over deliver there. And then as you can see, the margin profile is very strong. And again, that allows us to make this a very strong cash flow and investment, which allows us to pay out cash to our investors very quickly and get your capital return quickly and get you a nice return on top of that.
All right. We talked a little bit, or I talked a little bit about the fragmented marketplace and how there's different players in the market. And Trevor, you mentioned, you talked somewhat about what it looked like from a Mr. Car Wash perspective, the kind of the biggest player in the room and the amount of car washes that they own compared to the amount of car washes in the space. You want to touch on that a little bit and talk about that part of the business?
Yeah, Trevor, you're on mute, but I'm happy to take this one.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
one of
go ahead,
my
Trevor.
favorite stats here. I'll take. Yeah, I'll take it. No, this is one of my coolest stats. I'm not going to let Mike take it from me because he's a cooler person in general. So, if you look at the retail space in call it in restaurants, and you look at the top 10 chains, so the Subways and the McDonald's, Chick-fil-A's, they own 50% of the total revenue. So 10 chains, 50%.
Trevor.
Car washing, the
Trevor.
top 10 chains own 5% of the total revenue.
Hey, Trevor. Hey, Trevor. I think we're gonna have to let Michael take this one. Your service. It's pretty bad.
I'll go ahead and take it. But yeah, just to rehack what Trevor said, yeah, what we see car washes is really where the restaurant industry was, maybe 30 years ago. So like Trevor said, top 10 restaurants, over 50%, top 10 car washes, about 5%. And that's consolidating quickly. And one of the fastest growing players in this market is Tommy's. And Mr. Car Wash is currently the industry leader. I think they've got over 300 sites, but they're only adding about, if you look at their public company, their S1, about 30 to 40 sites per year. Tommy's Express, by the nature, because it's a franchise and has players all across the country adding sites, is going to add about over 100 locations in 2022. And so, we believe that brand matters in this industry, and really brand matters in any industry, and that people are going to gravitate towards those larger brands, just like they have in restaurants and frankly every other industry that we see. So this is a great spot to be in. We recognize this. A lot of private equity firms have recognized this, and everyone's kind of getting behind their different brands, and I think you're going to see a lot of consolidation happening very quickly in this space.
All right. So one of the questions could be, look, there's so many different brands out there. There's different car washes. There's other car washes that'll give you a decent wash. Why Tommy's? One of the things that we really liked about Tommy's was the family, the core values of the family. We got to know them, and they're a great family. They've been in this business for a long time. They've got some of the best equipment, patented equipment in the space. They're very well known in the space. I would venture to say this is the best car wash experience you're going to get anywhere. One of the top performing franchises in the United States with a 0% failure rate. We're going to do a little bit of comparison on those top performing franchises to see where Tommy's ends up on that list. But this is, you're talking top 4, and keep in mind that Tommy's is growing at a fast pace, and we would expect to see a little catch up there, in those top 4 spots. So, Michael, talk a little bit about the brand, talk a little bit about the franchise, about Tommy's as a business model, the family, the core values. Touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, so Tommy's has been around for 50 years, and they started out small family business, started doing car wash equipment, family owned, and it's a group that just has an incredible passion for car washes like you wouldn't believe, and they're constantly thinking about how to make a better product, and they're just obsessed with the customer. They model themselves after 2 companies. One I'm very familiar with, which is Apple. So around 20 years or so ago, they realized that car washes were just when you go in a car wash, it wasn't a great experience. It was these dark tunnels that were kind of dirty, and people, running around, towels everywhere. So they said, how can we really reinvent this? So then they invented this steel and glass building that is very attractive, that you've seen pictures of. They basically invented and patented all the equipment that goes on the inside, which can process cars at an incredible rate. So the company is based in Michigan, where you'll get a snowstorm and then everybody rushes to get their car washed the day after the snowstorm. And what they wanted to do is process all those cars very quickly and not have a backup. So again, Tommy's could process 3 to 4 more times as many cars as the next best competitor because of a lot of the patented equipment. And again, what they've done, like Apple, is rather than just your competitor car washes, which they'll hire a contractor to build a building, they'll buy equipment from a supplier, they'll contract out the software, they'll patch it together and make it work in a car wash. Well, Tommy's is all in one package, and the software works with the building, works with the equipment, and it all works seamlessly together to provide just a seamless customer experience. And there's a technology tied to it with an app that you can control everything. And so it's really an outstanding customer experience. And then the other thing that we model ourselves up and Tommy models ourselves up is the number one player here, which is Chick-fil-A. And the analogy we like to use is, you can get a great chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A or Popeyes, but there's a reason Chick-fil-A has lines around the corner and Popeyes doesn't. It's because of that guest experience that we provide. And so we train all of our employees. We send them to over a month of training at Tommy University. To one, make sure that the car wash runs great, but most importantly to provide an outstanding guest experience, so that we can keep climbing this chart and push ourselves towards the top of this franchise ranking list.
All right. One of the things that also caught our attention is the economic impact or the environmental impact that Tommy's is very well of, and their mission of making an impact in the world, and that's been it aligns very well with the type of partner that we want. And one of the stories that Trevor told me just recently was, about to that point, talked about a permit that was issued. We own the Northeast Philly region for Tommy's. And so he talked about being able to get a permit in a certain township in the Bucks and Montgomery County area, and talked about how that was the first car wash that got permitted in that region or in that area in 20 years. And the reason they allowed us to come in there with a car wash was because of what you see on this slide, where it talked about environmental impact and what Tommy's is about and what they stand for. So I thought that was powerful. So let's talk about progress in the last 12 months. There's a couple things. One, we bought an existing Tommy's, and this is where the team comes in. You can talk about what you're going to do. You can come up and plan and strategize, and you can, entrepreneurs are naturally optimists for the most part. You can talk about all kinds of different things that you're going to do to make the business better. But until you really get in there, until you can, till you own and operate, the proof is in the pudding. And so we purchased a Tommy's in San Antonio, and it was one of the top 5 performing Tommy's stores in the country. Well, we get in there, and it took us 7 or 8 weeks to get to top 3 in the country. And you can see exactly what happened when our team got in there. And there was a couple reasons that this happened. We opened the doors. We basically went in as the new owner of Tommy's San Antonio, and I think we had 4,411 some monthly memberships. And the chart shows 5,500 now, but just got an update from Michael yesterday, and we now are over 6,000 monthly memberships, monthly paying customers. And maybe you can talk a little bit about that, Michael, and how you were able to go from 4,400 to 6,000 in 2 or 3 months of new ownership, and what it took to get there. And I know we talked about marketing, tweaking the marketing plan. We talked about incentivizing the employees when somebody comes in and they want to get a wash. What happens when they come in there to get a wash, and how does the employee get incentivized when they sign up a monthly membership? But basically, this team went in there and tweaked a few of the models in this business plan, and promptly took it from 4,411, I think it was, to over 6,000 now in just a few weeks. Talk about that a little bit, Michael.
Yeah, sure. So I think, one of the things that we are pretty proud of is Trevor and I have worked in some, highly advanced industries, and it's great to be able to bring a lot of those best practices at these, other companies or other organizations we work with, and bring them into the car wash space, because it's a space that is just absolutely ripe for disruption and innovation. And so when we came in, like I said, we had lost about 100 members, and the previous owner had lost about 100 members in the 30 days prior to us taking over. And then within about 6 weeks, we had added over 1,000, and now, you know, we're coming up just past 2 months, and we've added over 1,500 members. So it's been a great little run since we took over, and really it comes down to you know, we really focused on our people. We couldn't have done this ourselves. We really have a great team there, and we work with them, we train them, you know, the first couple of weeks we were on board, and then we set up the incentives properly to make sure that the team was on board with really growing that membership. And so, you know, now they take ownership of the car wash themselves. We actually, you know, we believe in really investing in our people. We provide ownership to all of our employees, from the cashier all the way up to the regional managers, and they really internalize that, and they really, you know, allow us and provide a great product because of that. So you know, we still think there's a lot of room to grow here, and you know, we're just making sure at this point that we have the operational capacity to handle all the increased traffic, because this growth that you're seeing here, you know, it can happen really quickly, and again, we're just making sure we laid all the proper groundwork to make sure we can handle all the cars we're going through. I mean, we recently set a record of about 1,700 cars that we put through in one day in one of these car washes. And I think it's just going to continue we're going to continue to set records probably every month here for the rest of the year.
One of the things that I thought was very interesting, and this came up in one of our original interviews that we had with Mike and Trevor, to make sure that they were good operating partners for us after we heard, you know, after we heard their story and what they're about and all that. It got to the point where we could almost finish each other's sentences. And we realized that we thought a lot about thought the same about a lot of things in business. And one of my questions was, well, Michael, what makes you think that you can run a team? I mean, it's a you know, a car wash is, you know, at the end of the day, it's about people, and it's about equipment, but it's also about managing teams. And Trevor, do you want to just give us Michael, do you want to just give us a 30-second overview of what your position was when you were running teams, you know, in the Navy?
Yeah, thanks, David. You know, for me, this is really what I enjoy doing, is really the people aspect of it, because an organization is really nothing without the people behind it running it. You can have the best equipment in the world, but it's not going to run without people there. So, you know, my experience in this is, I ran logistics for a Navy fighter squadron, and it was oftentimes you get a 18, 19-year-old kid who, you know, the judge told him you have a choice between joining the Navy or going to jail, and that person's in charge of turning the wrench on your airplane to, you know, make sure this $100 million fighter jet is going to get off an aircraft carrier and get you out over the ocean and get you back. And so you very quickly learn leadership, and you learn how to understand people and what motivates people and what makes them tick. And you know, I've carried those lessons and carried those, you know, many years of really training that the Navy provides you and throws you into, and really brought that into you know, this world of car washing. And so there's a lot of parallels. I mean, a lot of it comes down to preventative maintenance, showing up on time, you know, taking care of the equipment, and then, you know, really just making sure that the team buys into the mission that you're trying to do. And so we've really, you know, brought some of that culture, you know, from the better parts of culture from the military to this. And you can see here it's really paying dividends so far, and since we took over operations at this location.
On the right side,
while we're still on this slide, Dave, a question came in. How many employees on average per location, average annual labor costs?
Yeah, so I have to take that one. You know, this is one of the great things about Tommy's is when I mentioned we invest about $1 million per location. A lot of that is because we automate things that other car washes don't. So, for example, we can actually run a car wash with one employee. We don't. We usually have a minimum of 2 there, but they're self-loading. You vacuum your own cars out, so the cars come out completely dry at the other end because we have more blowers, and so that way we don't need people with towels out there toweling it off. So really, with this labor crunch, it hasn't affected us that much because we have a pretty low labor profile for an average business. So we usually try to target about 15-16% of revenue as our labor cost. And so again, overall, that's pretty low. And the nice part about it is because we have about a dozen employees per location. Usually it's 3 that are salaried and the remainder are part-timers. But because, going back to that slide where we showed, kind of the average revenue per all those franchises, a McDonald's could have 20, 30 employees, whereas we have, half to a third of that, and our revenue is greater. So our revenue from employees is greater, which means we actually are able to invest in our people more, hire better employees, and really get them to stick around longer than what you get is a lot of turnover at these other franchises. So again, we're very well positioned even in this tough labor market. We've really had no problems hiring and recruiting people because, again, our mission is to provide great jobs. There's kind of a line out the door of people who want to work. So as soon as people roll off, we have high school kids that sometimes graduate and go off to college, and there's some of their high school buddies who are in line ready to jump in their spot. So it's been one of our a great advantage for us, and even in these hard times when it's hard for people to hire.
On the right side of the screen, you'll see development. We got a bunch of these going on between now and the end of the year. We got a bunch of lots under contract that are in there's several in some phases of development, buildings getting demolition, so we're very active on the ground. We've got some 30 or between 35 and 40, I believe it is, lots either under contract or we basically control the contract, getting ready to purchase these and do the build out. So one of the things that's been very interesting and very compelling with this asset class is when you see the big money moving into a space, and we've seen this before. We've seen it in self-storage space. The institutional appetite and private equity money that's chasing the space, and you can see there are some very prominent people in the space making some statements there about this asset class, and there's really been an awakening sort of institutional money and big money coming into the space. So we're excited about that. I feel like we're getting in front of the wave. Now to the numbers, you can see what would happen. You can see what would happen to a $100,000 investment. Projected IRR is 21.9%. Multiple on invested capital, you basically get 1.75x return, and we're calling that 4.25 years. We started with 5 years, but when we saw what was actually happening on the ground and looking at a more realistic number, we were able to back that down to a little less than 5 years. So it shows you what your annual return on investment is. You do get depreciation from this asset class. You get 100% bonus depreciation, so you can invest using cash or you can invest using your self-directed IRA. But it's basically the business plan is 1.75x return, and then you exit. Your annualized cash on cash return is 17.6% with an IRR of 21.9. So if anyone has questions on the business plan, on the numbers, any of that, feel free to throw them in the chat box. Love to talk to you about that. And then one of the other things that I always feel it's important, this is important to me when I'm looking to invest in a deal. I invest most of my money, most of my own personal money in my own deals. But I do invest in other people's deals as well. I'm an LP investor as well as a GP investor. So when I invest in other people's deals, I want to see how the sponsor gets paid. I want to see if we're aligned. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about this in this deal. In this deal, you get paid first. So you get 100% of the net revenue coming into the fund before we get paid. So those 4.25 years that you're in the deal, getting your principal and making your return, we're not getting paid. We're in a position, Bill and I are in a position where we don't need to get paid. We can live without the cash flow. We got other things going on that's treating us very well, and we're highly incentivized to get you to your 1.75x as fast as we can. So you could see how I believe this is very well aligned between a limited partner of an investor coming in. If you decide to come into this deal, you be treated like that. You get paid first. After you make your 1.75x, then we get paid. So I think that's very important. An investor coming into the deal, make sure you're aligned with your sponsor. We don't get paid until after you've made your, not only your principal back, but also until you've made your full return. So is this a good fit for a self-directed IRA? So we're creating a lot of value through development. We're buying a lot for, in the grand scheme of things, fairly inexpensive. We're going into a highly desirable part of the city. We're going into a retail area. We're not going out into an area where people aren't going to go. We're going into the restaurant section, to the section where there's a lot of traffic, where people are going to go to already. So we're creating a lot of value through development. It's got a ton of cash flow, and it's if you use your self-directed IRA, it's tax deferred. So I tried to kind of shorten this up a little bit and cover a lot in a short amount of time, but we are open to questions. We would love to talk to you after the webinar. If you got more questions, we've got an FAQ page that'll answer a bunch of your questions. My team is ready to answer your questions as well. And we would love to do business. We love working with Camaplan folks. We feel like we got a very good product. The cash flow in this asset class is amazing, and we think we could make you very happy as an investor. So I will open it up to questions now. If you've got some, if you're seeing some on your sideline, feel free to read them off.
I don't see any more at the moment, but and the best way to get a hold of you, or for someone to get a call back, is to go to the website there and put their information in.
Yes, my team is ready. We've got additional resources. This was only the slides that we went through is only a small part of the investment summary, and we've got a lot more detail. And in fact, if you want to get more of the specifics that are built around this, about the team, about the asset class, about the investment itself, and what the returns are, we're here to serve, and we'll make sure you understand this asset class and the structure of it before you make an investment decision.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate both of you and Trevor as well for joining us today. I'm sure we'll have some questions and people will reach out to you, therealassetinvestor.com. If you have any questions regarding self-directed IRAs, let me know. One thing we didn't mention there, you can also do these with Roths and make tax-free income as well. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Thanks, Dave and Michael.
Thank you, Ryan. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.